Downtown, I got that heat, let's go. Downtown, I got that heat, let's go.
Yo. Sound check to the people of the panel. Let's see what we got here. Oh, what up, Austin?
Nothing much. I got 2 T-Mobile ads when trying to view your live stream.
Ha! You didn't know? It's gonna happen to you, dog.
Yeah. How you doing?
Excellent, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just working on some video exports for a friend and just chilling, enjoying my Tuesday.
I see we got Carlos S. Tech in the house.
Yes.
I see we got Brian in the house. Maybe.
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Brian, what's going on, sir?
Nothing much, man. Just getting off work and relaxing a little bit. Feeling good.
All right. Well, you made it to the show. It's good to have you. Zero Cool in the house. Scallop connoisseur.
What up, good people?
What up?
Always scallops, bro. Always.
All right, man. Let's see. We got some people in the house. Let's do some hellos. We got some members and we got some mods. What up, Kazi? J Pose. Joe is here. Thanks for coming through, guys. What up, RF Waves? He's into them waves, yo. EM Tech in the house. Link is in the private chat. You know what it is, EM Tech. Nikki T, what is going on? Yep, we got news. We'll talk about that today. Raging Dusty, Jason D. Awesome. Glad to have you guys. All right. We'll turn off the El Musica for now. Okay.
Goodbye, music.
Yep. We'll just cut her off right there. You heard? 2 a.m. That was the last call. All right. You guys want to just jump into some stories?
Why not?
Well, you guys all own smartphones, right?
Oh, of course.
Maybe 2?
Maybe 3?
Maybe 3. Oh, damn. You got 3 of them?
10.
Austin?
Let's see. I got an iPhone 11. I got an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And then if we really wanted to dig into the closet, I have an iPhone 7.
Okay. Raging Dusty, ain't no shakeup, bro. That's way overstated. Ain't no shakeup. Not at all. We will talk about that. That'll probably be the last thing we discuss tonight. That's how important it is. We're putting it last.
Sneed, I promise to behave tonight, man. I promise to behave.
But you don't have to behave. You just have to be civil with us. You could say anything you want about any company, right? You just have to be civil with the people of the panel. That's all.
So if we get the radio up in here, you'll behave too.
Oh, dude, you can kick it to the.
So T-Mobile is the equivalent of you going and buying some Westlake or Douglas tires for your car.
Oh,
I hear
come on,
Carlos
Will not happen.
over there. I hear Carlos.
Yo, Lo, see if you can bounce out and then come back in. We're getting some static from your mic.
He's on T-Mobile. What do you expect?
Oh, damn.
Facts.
See, but you know better, Carlos.
Friends
you know
don't
better.
let friends don't let friends T-Mobile.
No, we're getting a staticky mic.
Yeah. Friends don't let friends T-Mobile.
You ain't lying, Buck White. Let's see if we can get him back in.
Yeah.
We will start the first story, though. Let's do it. From the telecompetitor. Did you want to say something, Brian?
Oh, it's all right, Sneed. This is more important. Go right ahead, man.
What about now?
You're good.
Okay.
Okay. All right. First story from the telecompetitor. Carl Weinschenk. Smartphone longevity report. People want at least 2 years out of their phone. Nearly 3/4, 70% of American smartphone buyers want to keep their phones for 2 years or more. 1 in 6 want to give 5 years out of it. Holy crap. We're going to talk about people that hold their phones for 5 years. The poll found no connection between device price category and the time period before the owner will move on. So basically, it's across the board the same thing. It doesn't matter if you buy a $200 or a $300 phone or if you buy a $1,200 phone. A majority of people want it to last between 2 and 3 years, or they start upgrading between 2 and 3 years. So budget, upper mid-range buyers are the most likely to want to use their phones for more than 5 years. Budget meaning $300 or less. Upper mid-range between $500 and $750. A quarter of respondents who say they don't know how much they will spend on their next phone intend to use their current device for more than 5 years. All right, so here are the numbers. I'm going to see if I could zoom in just a smidge. I want to give you guys a better look at the visuals here. That's probably the best it's going to get. Okay, so maybe I can do this. That helps a little. Okay, so 5% of smartphone owners upgrade within a year. So for all of you out there who are in the cellular network tech enthusiast category, you are a unique group. 95% of people do not upgrade their phone every year. All right. Even more specifically, the category that has the most amounts of, or the highest amount of people is more than 2 years, but up to 3 years. So between that 2 and 3 year mark. All right. So since I got the panel here, let's start with Carlos. Carlos, you're a network tech enthusiast. Before you became that, how frequently were you upgrading your phone?
Every year, whenever the newest one came out, even back then.
So you're that 5%, less than a year?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Zero Cool, let me get you in here. Where do you fit, man?
I mean, now or just before I got into IT and stuff?
Tell me about both, maybe. You know, when you were the regular consumer and then when you became the hyper cellular network, tester or whatever.
Sure. So, back when I first had the Nextel flip phone, and even when I upgraded to the Motorola Renegade V950, that was it is probably still my favorite phone of all time. It was a clamshell, and just because I just loved how it worked. And no, I would keep the phone until it broke. My first flip phone, the top half of it broke. Then I just got another one. I would just keep the phone till it would break or was not usable. Now, since I've been involved in telecom most of my adult life, I upgrade to fit my connectivity needs. Connectivity means having good RF, and in the near future here with the S24 and 25 and so on, satellite connectivity. So it's a difference between you need to have the new devices because of so much of not just to be connected, but so much of the high speed world that we live in, right? We live in a constant connected world to where if you don't have, imagine trying to use a flip phone and do Uber with it or Lyft or do some online ordering, what have you. It would be very hard to do, if not next to impossible. So I feel that having the smartphone upgraded on a yearly cycle is the best approach to me, because I get the latest and greatest technology, and I get to try out new features that people develop in software, on Android OS and stuff like that. So,
all right, cool. Austin, let me get you in here, man. Before you became a hyper cellular network tech enthusiast, and then currently in your current state, what kind of upgrades in terms of time frames have you been and currently are?
As I run a tech channel for Apple stuff and cover Apple's updates, I try to, on average, without going into technology debt, you could say, upgrade every 2 to 4 years, more towards the 3 to 4 year mark, depending on the device. And I do evaluation after 2 years. I will be probably more than likely upgrading to the 15 Pro Max.
From which phone?
13 Pro Max currently.
So it's like a 2-year upgrade rate.
Yeah, it's a 2-year upgrade this year, but then after that, depending on to how the phone's holding up, I do an evaluation 2 years, and then I do another one after 4 years. And if I'm lucky, sometimes I'll go like I did with the iPhone 7. I went almost 5 years.
All right, Brian, let me get you in on this. Where are you currently at? How frequently are you upgrading as it currently stands, and how maybe in your previous years was it any different? If so, how frequently were you upgrading?
Well, I probably upgrade every year to 2 years now. And before, now I was doing the same rate. And it's very interesting to hear people say something along those lines, or maybe even, 3 to 4 years, all that kind of thing. Because I was, it seemed like just yesterday, everybody was mad about 2-year contracts. And everybody wanted to upgrade every time a new phone came out, which was once a year. And now all of a sudden everybody's waiting now that you can more freely upgrade. It's maddening trying to keep up with the American consumer. Things change so quickly. I don't know, but but yeah, I know for me, Sneed, it's about once every year. For me, it's about keeping up with all of the network upgrades. So if there's a new frequency being transmitted by my carrier, then I'm going to get a phone that's compatible, because if I'm going to pay the money, I want to have full access to what's being transmitted. I want to have full access to it. So that's really what it is for me.
Yeah, so before I started doing the tech channel, before I started doing all this cellular networking thing, I was upgrading annually, and for like maybe 2 or 3 years. But prior to that, I was upgrading every 2 years because, as you stated, Brian, remember the 2-year contract? That was the staple for the American cell phone buyer. They were going to the carrier store. The carrier store structure was 2-year contract. You'd get a subsidized rate for the phone, and you'd be on the carrier for 2 years. And people weren't really that fluid with respect to switching carriers. So if you bought, an iPhone 4S from Verizon, you were on a 2-year contract with them for those 2 years, and then you upgraded to the 6 at your carrier of choice, either from Verizon again, or you were getting, through AT&T or T-Mobile or Sprint or whatever. So at the time, that's probably why we see that 2-year was the magical number. But if you notice, we've seen carriers switch. They've gone from a 24-month installment to a more 36-month installment. Now, the cost of the phones have increased. We've seen the flagship device go from $500 to $600 to $700, $800. And that's just the entry-level flagship. If we're going to start talking about Pro Max devices from Apple, if we're going to start talking about the S23 Ultra, the Note series devices, these phones are exceeding $1,000, $1,200, $1,300. Flips and folds, especially the folds, they're taking you into the, the shadow realm of where your pockets go to get drained, and they're so expensive. I mean, even on a carrier, a 3-year installment plan puts you around $80 a month for that phone. What is the Fold 4 MSRP? Does anybody know?
$1,799.
Okay, $1,800, right? So it's going to take you a very high monthly installment rate to pay that off in 3 years. And then of course these phones don't hold value like they used to, right? Because people are holding on to them. So it's not like there's truly high demand for the used market. All right. And I think it's gotten to the point now where the camera technology, the camera features, the thing that was really pushing phone sales forward was camera innovation. Now we're seeing like you can't tell the difference between a Pixel portrait photo and an Apple iPhone portrait photo, or if it's a Samsung Galaxy Ultra. They're all good. In fact, one would argue that you can get in on a Pixel 6a or whatever these A phones are and get some stellar still photography. You get a little bit of nuance from the video recording. That seems to, get better incrementally each year. But the still photography, it's very minimal. You almost can't even notice it. If you took, a picture with an iPhone 12 Pro Max today and lined it up with a 14 Pro Max, it's nuanced. And that's been 2 years in upgrades. Now the battery technology is another problem, right? usually within 3 years, your battery is smoked. All up in the smoke. It's been roasted, toasted, and floasted, right? So people are probably looking at it like in 3 years, I'm going to need a new battery or I'm getting a new phone, right? So they trade in and they just upgrade. The other side to this, I think, along with that, are drops and cracks and damage. After 3 years of wear and tear, you got a bunch of scratches on the display. People are looking to move on. So I think the installment plans with the cost of the devices, paying them off in 3 years, mixed with the wear and tear over 3 years, that's why we see it, as kind of like the most common amongst consumers. Because like if you look here, it doesn't matter if it's the budget smartphone at 23%, or it's the ultra premium more than 1,000 at 31%. It's between 2 and 3 years, and that coincides with the time it takes to pay it off.
You know what, bro? And I'm gonna go in this territory. I missed the contract. Because guess what, bro? I used to sign a 1-year contract. I used to do it 1 year. And I remember when I got my first iPhone, bro, on a 1-year contract, I paid $99. On a 2-year contract, I would have got it for free. So you know what? I missed contracts because at least I know that I could upgrade every year if I wanted a 1 year, and it was cheaper than buying the phone full retail. Yeah, I said it. I miss contracts, and I hope they come back.
Yeah, I don't know if it's coming back, but I mean, definitely the cost of and the subsidies that were built into the pricing of the phones impacted people's buying decisions. I mean, even till now, people typically are buying from the carrier, right? Not everybody. I mean, you're getting good trade-ins too from the carriers.
If you do the math, bro, I mean, be realistic. Do the math. Let's say you got an iPhone 14. Let's say they're doing contracts right now at the very moment.
Carlos, at the time,
14
well, hold on, let's
$29.99.
Hold on, let's backtrack. At the time, we were buying flagship phones, which were retailing at $600. We were getting them for $200.
But I want you to do the math.
So I am doing the math. We were paying $200 up front for a $1,600 phone on a 2-year, contract. So, how is that much better than the other option, which is just the installment plans, where you're getting a trade-in value of like between $500 and $800?
Because you have to wait for the trade-in for that whole period, number one. And number two, bro, if you think about it on the contract, actually, bro, if you're paying $200, that means your credit was crappy. Because in order to pay $200, because I'm keeping it real, bro. Because
what do you mean? Carlos, my credit was not crappy.
Well, bro, I never paid more, and this is just when I got the Droid flagships, bro, I was never paying more than like $99, bro, for a 2-year.
Bro, the iPhones were $200. The iPhone was $200. The iPhone 4S, I remember I got it for my dad. It was $200.
On what, a 2-year or 1 year? Because I paid
2-year.
I paid $99 on a 1 year.
No, it was $200.
Unless I got it maybe I might have got it a promotion at that time.
I don't know, man. I remember flagships were always $200. I do remember some of my droids, like my Droid Turbo. I remember getting that one pretty cheap. Maybe a promo thing, but
if you do the math, bro, so like let's say you pay $200. We'll just go $200. All right, $200 for iPhone 14. Let's just say today, and then the early termination fee, it was $250, bro.
Early term fees were like between $450 and $650. I remember.
Because I used to pay them all the time, bro. Whenever I wanted to upgrade to the newest phone. And it would only be literally like $250 or $350, depending on the value of the phone.
It would be, but yeah, it would be the value of the phone. So you'd be coming in at like the iPhone was $600, so you'd have to pay the difference.
No, you just pay every month that you complete the contract. They subtract so much, and it was only either $250 or $350. Look it up, bro. I'm not playing. I'm being serious. And I would just pay that, and it would still be cheaper by at least a couple $100. Than buying the phone full retail. I would get the phone at a cheaper rate either way.
Yeah, well, people complained back then too. So I mean, it just is what it is. There's always going to be, that contingent of people that aren't happy. The way that it is now, hopefully it's better for people, at least at the point of sale. They're not spending as much at the point of sale. There's no upgrade fees. A lot of the times, there's always some promo. I know Sneed was talking about the $800 for the trade-in. I mean, At the end of the day, these phones, I mean, the S23 Ultra has a 200 megapixel camera. I mean, 200 megapixels. These phones are computers now. So I personally don't think anything that's going on right now with the carriers is unfair. But that's just me.
You know, if your phone is a productivity tool, then the cost is not really that big of a deal, regardless of how much it does cost.
Facts.
You know, because like if it's more than just your connectivity, right? If it's connectivity plus it's also production, you know, like in the case of me as a content creator, or if it's part of your business, say for example, you're in the gig industry and you drive for Uber, Lyft, or any of these types of services, it's invaluable. It's your passport to income. If it and I think that goes to show you, like, for the people, a majority of people are not creators, right? Because look at the upgrade rate, right? One of the things that I would always encourage creators to do is, if you're going to create content with your mobile, is to have the best mobile devices, right? So for example, I would recommend an iPhone 14 generation device, and I would recommend either some like a Google Pixel or maybe a Samsung Galaxy, whatever your cup of tea is on the Android side. Have one of each, right? And then you kind of have the best of both worlds. You've got a secondary device. You're going to create content. You know, in the case of, you know, Carlos, he likes to live stream. He trusts the iPhone to do that. You know, and those are the types of things I think, like, for the people that upgrade every year, that's where they fall in. For the people that are just posting to Snapchat, for the people that are just hanging out on Instagram looking at photos, you could probably have your phone for 5 years. As long as the phone continues to be supported for updates and it still remains secured with like monthly security patches, I say hold on to that sucker as long as you can, as long as the battery holds up. In fact, it would kind of be nice for the carrier, or not the carrier, the OEMs, to have like a battery swap program. Like, hey, you've had your phone for 3 years. We appreciate your loyalty to the brand. Here's a deal on a new phone, or here's a special offer to get your battery replaced to extend the life of the phone.
Yeah, Verizon offers that if you're on their Total Motor Protection plan. I think they offer that. EM Tech, shout out to you. I completely agree. He just put in a comment, customers want their devices to last 3+ years, but lost their minds when AT&T and Verizon switched to 36-month installments. Makes zero sense. You cannot please people. It's crazy. They're just all over the place. I don't understand people. Everybody said, 2-year contracts. We want to upgrade every year. The carriers get rid of them. Now people are saying, "Oh, well, I want to keep my phone 3 to 4 years," but everybody's mad about 36-month installments.
Everybody.
Well, at least
not everybody.
It seems to be a large contingent of people, and I don't understand I don't understand the disconnect.
I don't think it's large. I think they're loud. Right.
Okay. You might be right about that.
It's a small group of people, because like when I buy it,
though,
when I buy a phone, I buy it outright. That's just me.
Gotcha.
Here's what I'm saying, Brian. Like, for the people who were on 2-year installments and liked it, they were aggravated by 36 months. For the people that didn't like their monthly installment plans at $45 a month, the 3-year installments actually made it a little bit cheaper. Probably brought it down into the 30s. So they're probably like, "Oh, okay, this is cool. I usually keep my phone for 3 years anyways." So there were people that were happy with 3-year because they were keeping it for 3 years, but they were able to get their monthly bill down because it was spread over more installments.
Yeah, that's true. Makes sense.
So but I'm telling you, what you're talking about is a real thing. There is always this really loud minority who gets their thongs in a bunch when things change, and they just don't know if they'll ever be able to hold up and deal with the change. It's like the end of the world because the installments change. I'll be honest with you, man. If you can't afford to buy a phone outright, the fact that you can finance for free is a win.
Oh my God! Say it again, Sneak. Say it again, Sneak. Say it again, man.
I'll do it just for you, Brian.
Thank you, sir.
If you can't afford to buy a phone outright, you should just be happy to get a free phone finance over those 36 months, 0% APR.
Hallelujah. Right? Preach.
And a carrier who's willing to risk it for you, because what if your credit ain't all that, but you've been with the company for 5 years? They'll honor that and give you some business, right?
Preach.
Just saying. I call a spade here, man. I don't have to pander to anybody. You know me, Brian. You know how I get down, bro.
Throwing down the deuce of spades. I feel you, man. You're right. You're right. I mean, Yo, Sneed, what bank is going to go? I guess what bank are you going to be able to go to? We're going to get a 0% interest loan on any amount of money, $500, $100. It doesn't matter. They want to make some money. These carriers are giving you 0% interest. I mean, come on, man. What are we talking about right now?
And on multiple devices, right? They'll do if your credit is good, if you're upstanding with the company, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 phones for the fam.
I don't understand, man. I don't understand. I mean, like I said, this is the golden age of telecommunications for America, and I think we should just enjoy this while we can, while it lasts. Who knows how long it's gonna last? But while it's here, we should enjoy this, man. I mean, all this throughput speed that's being kicked out. We got broadband expansion happening across the country. We got 0% interest. Loans. Is it 3-year loans on $1,700 phones? I mean, come on, man. Like, there's never been a better time.
No deposit on CPE,
Talk
for
about it,
fixed wireless access. You don't have to pay anything.
Trade-ins. I mean, geez, man. It's crazy.
Anybody want to chime in? We got a big panel tonight.
How much?
No? Okay.
I am going to comment.
Oh, jump in, Mr. Bearded Dragon, sir.
Who the heck needs a phone over, $900? I mean, pick up like a $900 phone. Don't get that iPhone Pro Max for the iPhone 13s. You're good. Even then, those $800 phones last 2 years.
Well, if you look at the data, it even says that $300 phones, people are making them last beyond 3 years. And there's some people still hanging on to their flip phones. They were pissed when 3G got turned off, Pete.
They'll be all right.
They'll be all right. And then you got the people with the folds.
I don't want the 5G folds on my flip phone. You heard me now?
Oh, they'll be all right. They will be just fine. If you look at the traffic usage year over year for every single MNO, it has grown exponentially year over year. People just like to talk and hear themselves talk. But their actions do not line up with their words. Don't listen to them, Sneed. You just keep on preaching God's word, man. Tonight, bro. You just keep on preaching God's word, Sneed.
All right, man. Let's do this next one, man. Switching stories here. All right, so some of you may be aware that Charter, which is the owner-operator of the business Spectrum, Charter has no plans to add data caps when the FCC ban is lifted. All right, for some of you out there, you've been kind of in tune with this probably as customers, and then also through the channel we discuss these things sometimes. There was a 7-year ban on the use of data caps that the FCC enforced onto the company. It prohibited Charter from having the total usage cap. And the data cap, like let's say for example, use 1.2 terabytes of data each month. What these home ISPs have traditionally done is put a data cap. So if you go over the 1 terabyte usage, you'll be paying additional for those extra gigs of data that you use above that cap. So the fear is that post whatever would you call it, an acquisition or a merger, when they acquired Time Warner Cable and Bright House. The fear is that they would automatically start doing it because of the consolidation of the competition and those types of things. But Charter says that they intend to not change its policies. There's no change to this no cap. I don't trust big cable, first of all, but when you make a public statement like this, it does give the consumer a little bit of confidence in this. Let me actually start with Pete. Pete, do you trust Charter to follow through on this word, or do you think they're going to violate this?
They're totally going to pull an AT&T.
Which would be what?
You're going to get that 500 gig data cap, and like $50 every 10 gigs you go over that. I might
Cox
be a
does
little
that too.
over. I might be going a little overboard, but you'll see it about like that. I'm telling you.
So you're expecting a violation of those terms?
Oh no! When the ban, this is for when the ban gets lifted. So But yeah,
All right, Curve
they're
got
gonna.
to chime in, man. What do you think? You agree with Pete, or you going in a different direction?
Well, from what I've been told, obviously they wanted to have data caps, but whenever they got forced not to have them, they noticed something happened. Their sales went through the roof.
And they like
Customers
sales.
were quicker to take it because that was a quick thing. Hey, we don't have data caps. That actually helped them get customers and keep customers when the other ISPs had caps. So it's one of the things that, if they do it, they fear they may have an issue keeping customers. But I guess if everybody has a data cap, then it doesn't really matter where you go. But it does help to sell the product. So
it has changed their outcomes. They've been busy.
It was an unintended win for them, basically. Being forced into it was an unintended win. They didn't realize it was going to actually help.
Go ahead, Carlos, jump in here.
What? So
Charter has no plans to add the data caps once the FCC lifts the ban for the data caps.
Well, from what we had the homie that works at the company, bro, and he literally, they've been upgrading everything to DOCSIS 4.0 at a rapid rate, and adding more fiber infrastructure than anybody predicted, with that company. So, why would they sit here and add the data cap back on when, like Curb was saying, they're literally selling this, they're selling the product like crazy. It literally sells itself because of the no data caps. And then on top of it, this is basically a win for the consumer, because that means that they're going to push the upgrades faster, so you'll have better data speeds and connection, just because they know that they have to do it to be able to handle that load.
Hey, Carlos.
So it's a win-win.
If you don't put the data cap on when you get that that DOCSIS 4.0 coming out in 2030, how are you going to pay back your?
He's bringing all the heat.
Well, the one company that's actually ahead, Bearded Dragon, unfortunately, it's Spectrum. They're actually already launching DOCSIS 4.0. There's certain markets already that just became live. No, it's actually in major markets like Charlotte, I think it was, and Charlotte and Greensboro, I think, and Raleigh. I think it was those three markets so far that I know of.
Well, they're not live, but the build and the prep for the build has begun.
So you're saying they're going to, not try and further monetize their deployment and suck out as much cash as they can from the customer, whereas people get on T-Mobile's back for not immediately jacking up prices when they could.
Boo!
I look at it like this, bro. So if this is what it's gonna take for them, for them to be able to upgrade, the infrastructure more, because now they have more people coming in, then by all means, bro, just keep the data cap off. Maybe it'll start pushing other providers to get rid of that, because unfortunately, bro, we're not blessed, bro. I wish I was blessed like you that had a municipal fiber option, bro. I'm not blessed like that, bro. I'm stuck still trying to get my actual fiber reconnected, and I've been 2 weeks with no fiber.
So I want to bring a
location, Lowe's.
So guys, I want to bring a different perspective to the discussion. I think what Los is saying makes a lot of sense. Everybody's making good points, but I think it's the other way around. I think the competition is forcing Charter to do what Los just said, as opposed to Charter forcing other people to be innovative. Big Cable doesn't innovate; they're being forced to innovate because Verizon and T-Mobile, those two companies specifically, have FWA, and they promised no data caps at this time. Fios has no data caps at this time. AT&T Fiber, no data caps at this time. So, the data cap stuff is out right now. Everybody has a sufficient amount of capacity to be able to meet the needs of the traditional customer nowadays. So a data cap essentially is waving a white flag and saying, hey, look, we can't keep up. So you guys are going to have to slow down. So with that being said, I don't think that Charter is lying when they say they don't have any plans to add any data caps. I think they're telling the truth for the foreseeable future, which is, I think, probably the next 2 to 3 years. that they would be crazy to re-implement that strategy. They can't go back now. They have to upgrade their network in order to be able to keep up. That means adding fiber. That means going DOCSIS. Whatever it is that they need to do, they're going to have to do that, and that's going to be their driver of revenue. But this whole data cap thing, that's a thing of the past for the next 2 to 3 years at least. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
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 The thing about
I
it
agree.
is they still have not addressed the real issue though, which is their pricing structure with the terms. But I mean that's going to be a digression, and I want to get Zero Cool in on this. The data cap, Zero Cool, chime in.
I mean, in the 5G world and DOCSIS 4.0 world, you don't need data caps. That's just being honest. You do have enough bandwidth across the pipe. One second, sorry. But let me say this: Charter, they keep their word. Comcast, not so much. Comcast is like the evil brother. So, I don't foresee Charter Spectrum adding any data caps now or in the future. They don't have a reason not to, and to be honest, they're the ones that are doing DOCSIS 4.0 correctly from an engineering standpoint. And Comcast they're just kind of doing it the quick and dirty way, right? But this is good. But again, it's we don't need data caps. There's no reason for them. So
My Comcast doesn't have data caps.
Has it always been that way, Austin?
Depends on the market.
I thought Comcast did have data caps for some
markets, yes, but
some
like
markets,
here,
yeah.
like here, you do have data caps if you are not tech savvy. But I was able to look over our plan and get the data caps out of the way. Just unfortunately had to pay a little bit more, but whatever. It is what it is. I don't want data caps, especially when I go
Yes.
through around almost 2 terabytes a month at times.
Yeah, I was gonna say because the cost, I think, after what is it every
1.2
50 gigs
1.2,
over,
yeah.
1.2
over
terabytes.
1.2
This
is
what
like
it
$10.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So they do have it. It's just still,
It's there if people are not smart to look at it in my area. It's there, Zero Cool, but
yeah.
Comcast, as you're saying about the evil brother, you get someone that actually fights with them and actually kind of puts them in their place, they kind of back off.
I mean, we're not all dentists that use a gigabyte after gigabyte, are we? I mean, come on.
No,
I'm gonna say the Comcast thing. It's not like they really have incentive to change your plan off the capped one. I mean, where are you gonna go? The DSL company?
there's no DSL in my area. AT&T killed that.
So now you got Comcast and what is it, Starlink?
Either that or you get shit T-Mobile that does
Yeah, I mean, that's your
standalone
three
at 5
options.
by, or you get T-Mobile standalone with 5 by 5 megabits unless they brought an outdoor weather box.
Yeah,
Otherwise-
so they have no competition.
Yeah, and AT&T could throw the competition into the ring, but they choose to sit 3,000 feet away from this area and just cut streets and neighborhoods off. They do AT&T things.
All right, good stuff, guys. You ready for this last story? We're going to round this out here at the 1 hour mark. All right, I'm going to share this picture with you guys. And you tell me what is the big you tell me what is the big news?
There is no big news. This is the big nothing burger. Isn't that what you call it, Pete? A nothing burger, right? This is no big
This is
news.
a birthday party. What are they trying to celebrate? Is it
This is
balloons?
this is not news. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone's career, but the choices that they made, I'm like, okay, you got a former Clearwire guy. Clearwire was horrible. What's so weird about it? I mean, what are we talking about right now?
Hey, huffing the helium or something.
What are we talking about? I mean, what?
But Brian, this is the one thing I gotta say, bro. So the one good thing about John
Can I at least introduce the thing, bro? Carlos, hold on, please.
My apologies. My bad, Steve.
Brian's ready to run with this, bro. Hold on. All right, listen.
I'm about to sell some Wolf tickets, but Sneed's my witness after this.
Listen, the announcement coming from Mike Sievert, Neville Ray, and the rest of the crew at T-Mobile through the Twitter accounts. All right, big day at T-Mobile. We have Ulf Ewaldson, the new president of technology, and now John Saw, Dr. John Saw, the new CTO. As Neville Ray is going to walk away from the company, he's going to retire, and Abdul Saad will also, I guess, step away from the company. All right, so this means that we basically are going to. What's that?
Abdul Saad he's stepping away, really?
Yeah, he's stepping away as well. So the gentlemen that are not all the way to the right. To the right is John Saw, and then to his right is Abdul Said, and then there's Neville in the middle, right? So Ulf must be either the shorter guy next to Neville, or he's the guy all the way to the.
He's the dude all the way to the left.
Okay, so that's Ulf.
Yes.
Ulf.
Okay, so we got Ulf. Okay, we got Ulf to the left. Then we got Eugene himself sweating up a storm over there, sipping wine or some vino. I don't know. So there you go. All right.
Oh, that T-Mobile floor needs a repaint job. I swear to God, it's got specks in it.
Yeah, so glitter and confetti, man.
Okay, so Pete, we've talked about this before, and the reason why I want to start with Pete is because I think Pete's got the most sound judgment in this. I've been saying this for about 2 or 3 years. I think Neville's time has come and gone. Him stepping away and kind of moving on and retiring. He did his part at the company. He was a big part of what they did over the course of the last 7 to 10 years. Right? Now, Dr. John Saw is he's not a spring chicken. He's an experienced player in this. All right. He is a Clearwire guy, as Brian stated. I will say that the one thing I will give Dr. John Saw some credit for is he was one of the first. I'm not saying he was the first. He was one of the first engineers to say the name of the game is higher frequencies and dense tower grids. He was one of the first people to say that while everybody was sitting there squabbling and arguing about more low band, Dr. John Saw said, no, we don't need more low band. We need denser tower grids. So I want to make sure I put that out there, Pete.
Hey,
does he deserve some credit for that?
One sec. Before I get into that, you're telling me Jack went the extra 4 years for the PhD? What is he teaching now?
I don't know. They call him Dr. John Saw. I don't know.
He's always been a Dr. Saw.
Regardless. Let's hope we start getting enough millimeter wave to turn those frogs gay with him.
Oh!
Thank you. I mean, I'm sorry, man. Wait a minute. He's working for a company. He said that the name of the game is dense tower grids and high frequency, yet the company he works for bashed Verizon for betting big on millimeter wave.
Well,
that doesn't even make sense.
Hold on.
The guy who converts CDMA frequencies to LTE and 5G is not there blocking him.
Hold on. This guy is not really a T-Mobile guy. He's a Sprint guy. He's a Clearwire guy.
That's even worse.
Oh, Zero Cool. Zero Cool. I need you in here right now. Zero.
No. Hold on, bro. So this is the thing. John Saw, we have to thank John Saw for something. He was the creator of Massive MIMO. If it wasn't for him, Massive MIMO would not exist today.
He's in all the textbooks, by the way.
So if it wasn't for him, your N77 with Verizon and AT&T and all that wouldn't even work as good as it does because it wouldn't have Massive MIMO. So
all right, well, thanks.
Someone else would have gotten it, but
yeah, I mean, come on, man. I mean, he's not going to be able to deploy it with $10 billion in capex this year.
But hey, but look, he
There's
did
always next year.
Look,
right, 11.
This is where I give John Saw credit, man, because I've got to test his, with the little bit he had with Sprint, I got to test out 3 Sprint 5G cities, and bro, they were good, man. They were really good.
With, plutonium.
They were better than anything T-Mobile or anybody has done, bro. Like they were good.
So I just want to say, you guys know who the inventor of TDD is, or 2.5? Guess what? It's John Saw. So he's the guy that actually invented the TDD side. So I'm very happy. I didn't even follow this announcement. I don't even know what's happening. I'm very happy with this, is because Sneed's right. John Saw. I mean, I used to work for him. He believes in 2.5. That's all he breathes and thinks about. He doesn't. If you want the honest opinion, he doesn't give a rip about the 600. All he cares about is the 2.5. Why? It's because he knows, the high capacity of it. T-Mobile just won the more spectrum on that. The cool part about it is that you can do the inter-carrier aggregation with the FDD and the TDD, which just makes it that much better, right? So, yeah, this is great news. They finally got an old man out there, and replaced him with a smart dude
who's also an old man.
Yeah, he's no spring chicken. He's been in the game.
He doesn't look as old. He doesn't have any.
He doesn't have a gray beard.
He doesn't. Yeah. He's not normally walking yet.
Hey, hopefully my T-Mobile service stops doing 5 megabits by 5 megabits on standalone. Sneed, you saw that. You saw that garbage.
You're replacing Neville Ray that looks like he looked like a Mr. Potato Head over there to John Saw.
Listen, man. If he does so him coming in as the new CTO, if he comes in and does a really good job of continuing to densify and doing special projects with the small cells, embracing the grind with the millimeter wave, he'll look like the perfect person to replace Neville, right? And I look, Carlos called it. The first handful of markets where they got the N41 going, the massive MIMO, it was performing really nicely. Go ahead, Pete.
And it's not like they need to have an expert at converting that CDMA modulated spectrum into something useful anymore. CDMA has been taking out back old Yeller style, beaten like a redheaded stepchild.
So how they gonna pay for all this? CapEx $10 billion. How they gonna pay for all that?
That's easy. You pay for it with
Cash and Comcast.
You pay for it with Neville's retirement. That's all.
Okay, well, I don't know how much he was.
They're stealing from the Comcast rate hikes.
I don't know how much he was. I don't know how much Neville was making, but I mean, geez, you can be as smart as you want to be. This is still a very capital intensive industry, and you're not going to do.
The thing is, yeah, we know that the money doesn't fit, but the one thing we can say about John Saw, man, is that he literally took. Remember, he was working at Sprint, bro, and Sprint didn't have all it had was peanuts and sunflower seeds, basically worth of money.
Right.
And he made it work, bro, and that shit worked good. So I think what he might do is take what all this BS that they've been doing. This is what I'm thinking his approach is going to be. All these over densification areas and stuff like that where they did too much. He's probably going to tear down and replace hardware in other places where it needs it.
With what money, Lowe's? If he did so well at Sprint, why'd they go out of business? I mean, they got bought out, but they were about to go out of business. I mean,
he wasn't the CFO.
Free service.
He wasn't the CFO. He wasn't the CEO. He was the CTO.
Okay. Yeah. Sprint's network was pretty bad, guys. I mean, I'm just being honest. It was bad.
On a national scale, it was insufficient.
Yes, it was very bad. I mean, you can pick 3 markets and say, okay, they were really good here. That doesn't erase the other 122.
No, I agree. And that's why I said nationally they were insufficient. They're a regional provider.
If I'm going to cherry pick, I can find at least 5 to 10 Verizon markets where it's trash. So
all right, well, find them and let's talk about them, because I would bet you that there will probably be more of those that are Sprint than are Verizon. There's one company that's standing and there's one that's no longer present. And so this guy's worked for one that's no longer present. Now he's working for the other one that we've been joking for the last hour.
He didn't set the
hour.
CapEx though. He worked with what he had.
The reason why Verizon's so good is they have band 66 in the rich people markets, and everywhere else it's band 13 life.
Thank you.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
Yes, it is.
That's not true. That's not true.
Go to fucking North Carolina, sir. Go to Virginia. Go to places in Alabama. Been there and been there. Texas.
Been there and been there. Well, I mean, what are we talking about? What markets? What markets in any of those? What markets in any of those states does Verizon test poorly in?
Objectively, you can't get to over 210 million pops of N77 in 13 months unless you're properly building and scaling the network.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you can't. It's just like you could say that the network has rotted in some places because of a lack of attention, but here they are building and rebuilding the network very quickly. So I think a lot of those things are being addressed as we speak. Sprint was never going to address any of that. They had pulled funding. Meanwhile, Verizon accelerated funding. Think about it. They went from 17 billion to 18 billion as the base capex. Plus, they added a dedicated 10 billion for C-band over 3 years. They're upgrading the network. It's just taking a little bit of time. Go ahead.
I will do an EP comparison between Verizon and Sprint. At one Verizon site in my city, I found band 13 falling down to 1X. They eventually got upgraded to N77. If it was on Sprint, I'd still be on 1X.
So I will say this: if you guys like your 2.5, with what John saw back at the helm, the 2.5 will be on fire.
So it's going to get better.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With what money? With what money, guys?
Well, let's just say I'm not. Think about it, guys. John Saw is the master of peanuts and you know
he's good at budgeting.
Yeah.
Where is your evidence to support that? The last company he did that budgeting for is no longer existing.
He wasn't the CFO. Fault, he was the CTO.
It wasn't his fault.
Okay, so guys, I understand that, but if you're gonna say he was great at working with peanuts,
yeah, $4 billion capex. Now he's got 10 billion to work with.
Okay, that's good, but you're competing with people who are spending 24 and 19 this year. I mean, AT&T is doing 24 billion. Verizon's doing 19.
I know.
Okay, is John Saw being handed a good base?
He can do. He's only. I mean, if you give him more money, sure he'll use it. But he's got a budget. Everybody has a budget. The marketing team has a budget. The RF team has a budget. Everybody's got a budget, right?
Biggest hurdle to any engineering team is the budget.
Exactly.
And so I'm just trying to figure out how all of his degrees are going to overcome 10 billion versus 19 and 24. Please help me understand, guys. Like, I'm not trying to say he's not smart. I'm sure he's very intelligent. He's got a doctorate. I do not. So I'm sure he's more intelligent than I am.
I can answer that question, actually. So basically, what he's going to do, it's based off what we call market capacity. So what that does is it's kind of the whole build it and they will come type approach. For example, if take New York City, for example, yes, it's great. It's got good 2.5, but I know there's going to be, small cells and towers or 2.5 towers that he's going to build to bring in more customers, more revenue. He's going to take that approach. He's not just going to, put a 2.5 site yet out in, Timbuktu, but he will eventually. But the thing is, you have to get more capex, and obviously you have to start where the people are at, right? So that's what he's going to do. I mean, the difference between John Saw and Neville was really, 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 really focused on 600 megahertz. I mean, that's all he did. I mean,
yeah, because he was living in scarcity and fear when he didn't have any low band for like 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. So when they first rolled out 600, I remember him actually just being actually ecstatic and just glorifying that for 3 hours on a stream.
Well, yeah, and I mean, but the customers rewarded him. The market rewarded him for that particular strategy. He's the one that started talking about a layer cake, which by the way is not new. Every carrier in America, in the world, uses a layer cake. Nobody, that wasn't a new strategy. Oh my God, I can't stand this company. Jesus Christ. That's not new. It's not innovative. It's not. Go ahead,
Brian. It's marketing, right? It's not a new I mean, there's only one carrier actually building a layer cake with 3 layers, and it's not T-Mobile. To be honest with you,
nope.
It's actually Verizon.
Yep. And so I'm just unconvinced. I'm unconvinced. I'm not moved. I'm not convinced at all. Like, okay, I understand this dude is intelligent. He's still working with 10 billion in capex versus 19 and 24, and everybody's going to be building small cells in the major and mid-major markets. Everybody's going to be doing that. but his competitors have fiber that they own end to end. He has none. What are we talking about right now?
Let's just say this. John Saw, I think we can all agree here, is just going to do a heck of a lot better job than what Neville did.
But at what, though? A better job at what?
Better job at densifying.
It's execution.
Execution, yeah. Absolutely.
All right. We'll see. We'll see because this guy Neville had the benefit of a government subsidy to get his rollout going. This guy's not going to have that benefit.
Hey,
I remember.
Hold up. AT&T had a benefit too. They created a subsidy and they stacked it with $74 billion in debt, and then they started increasing their capex in wireless.
Oh, ouch.
Okay,
so what could roll off a media company, say Go 90, and bury it with the Sprint merger debt, then they'd be at $20 billion as well.
I mean, I can almost guarantee you why this Saeed guy got canned, because his network strategy didn't line up with John Saw's. Like John Saw is very. Let me say something. John Saw is very, like I said, 2.5 focused, and I can actually expect once he gets going on this 2.5 density and capacity will equal on par pretty much to the C-band. That's what John Saw is wanting to do.
But with what money, though, guys? Again, don't worry about. You have to worry about the money. You have to worry about the money. Listen, guys, I don't understand how you can get a better market rollout than what T-Mobile was able to do under Neville when they had government subsidy behind them getting that done. They're not going to have that this time. And then you have a situation where his competitors are flush with cash way more than he is. So regardless of how intelligent he may be, what are you going to implement when you're reducing CapEx to be able to have a better rollout than what they did under Neville? I'm not saying Neville is more intelligent than him, but I'm not impressed. At this point, what other rabbit are you going to pull out of the hat? Massive MIMO? Well, Verizon and AT&T have that. Verizon's got a comparable amount of, C-band. They got CBRS. They got their own fiber. They got a small cell build and small cell program too.
You got the best small cell build.
Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about right now? I mean, this is just ridiculous. I'm sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful, but this is just ridiculous.
But maybe he does adopt that Verizon type densification strategy with the small cells. Maybe he was brought in specifically for this project. Maybe he is the next level up for T-Mobile. Maybe it's his vision, it's his execution that they needed. What do you think, Zero?
I think Brian thinks y'all are saying that T-Mobile is going to beat the others. I don't think that's what the argument is.
I think it's about competing.
But how are they going to? How are they going to? How are they going to compete?
Saying is better. All they're saying is better. They're not saying best. They're just saying better.
But better in what? Better in what way?
Better than what they are right
better
now.
than Neville Ray.
Yeah,
they're saying anything's better than Neville Ray.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Okay, so what did Neville Ray? What was it that he did or didn't do that left something to be desired?
In my estimation, Neville Ray hasn't worked a day at T-Mobile in probably 5 years.
Yeah,
he has not been an active. He's been more of the face of the network. He hasn't really been the network since the 600 megahertz build, right? So in my opinion, it's more about this Ulf dude and John Saw taking the 2.5 gigahertz strategy with respect to density and then the small cells and properly executing it. I don't think whatever Neville was in charge of doing prior to this, he must have did well, but he knew he was looking at retirement. He's older and he's done it. He did his time at the company. He did a lot, right? Now it's time for the next step. And they got a guy who really knows this stuff and T-Mobile can trust with their baby, which is the ultra capacity. And don't forget, he has an additional set of assets in the 3700 and 3450. There's more spectrum coming, right? So they trusted in John Saw with this. Maybe he's more innovative. Maybe he's more future looking. Maybe he's more analytical. Maybe it's a breath of fresh air within the company. He must have impressed someone. They got rid of everybody else from Sprint. They kept him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's the inventor of the TDD 2.5. It was him. So I mean, he's the guy that invented all that crap.
He
So
did
you
more
can thank
than
him
the
for 2.5.
2.5 and TDD.
I mean, guys, I just don't see it, man. I mean, okay, so I'm going to assume that we're talking about optimization at this point because the rollout of 2.5 for T-Mobile is about done. They've got it about from sea to shining sea, just about.
Yeah, but there's
So,
going to
so
be
now,
but there's going to be decisions that have to be made. Like,
so
how do
we-
we densify? How do we do small cells? What type of MIMO? What's going to be the placements? What's going to be the strategy? Zero Cool was talking about the market approach. Those are going to be his decisions, right, Zero Cool?
Yeah, so basically we're in the 2023 to 2026 is the national build. It's a 3-year national build. Okay. That's another reason why John Saw is leading this, because pretty much on every site that we designed has the 2.5, right, mixed in with small cells. Okay, so they're finally doing what Verizon's going to do. Finally, and now their capex sucks, but but at least now we
oh
actually
my
have a
goodness.
guy that's actually knows what a layer cake really fucking
Zero
is,
Cool.
instead of a birthday cake. Okay,
It's zebra cakes. That's what it was.
Zebra
Got a
cake.
question for you.
Yeah.
Is this guy more familiar with the Doppler impact of densifying 2.5 than the previous setup?
I'm sorry, Pete. You broke up one sec. Can you repeat what you said?
Is this guy more familiar with the Doppler setup to properly
Yeah,
densify it?
of course. Yeah, for example, for Doppler, you're talking about the Doppler shifting effect on the 2 gigahertz, right, from satellite. Yes, that can interfere. Any type of a microwave signal that even remotely is adjacent to it. Here's the one that actually put all the filtering in place for that too. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with this decision. It's kind of funny. My last meeting was with him at T-Mobile. So this is good. Don't lose faith. This is actually a good thing that T-Mobile's done.
Yeah, Bryant.
Let's see
over
what
here
John
laughing.
Saw does. I mean, you could see how happy he looks in that photo.
Oh
Yeah,
my
man.
God! Are we serious right now? Are we serious?
Hey,
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm my bad. My
Sneed.
bad, Sneed. My bad.
Hey, Sneed, when I show up
Just
to
give him a chance.
Hey, Sneed, when I show up to a Verizon Towers property and T-Mobile's doing 1.5 gigabits down by 145 up, and Verizon's only doing 40 by 10, please save me the laughter. And it's only band 66 and band 13. Save me
Hey,
the
listen,
laughter.
man. These networks are about to get really good. The carriers are spending
I
blue
hope
coops.
so.
They're spending
That will
buku
not
bucks to
happen.
upgrade.
By the end of the year, you will not see very many sites that meet the description that was just given about a Verizon tower.
Hey,
I'll say that.
Tell Ericsson to stop making the panels fail. There you go.
I'm actually impressed by his description. Most of the sites I find with 13 do not have 66.
Pete, the tower to the south of the one that I have the address for, it only had band 13, but as of December 12th, it got a full sweep, which was good because it was only doing 5 megabits down by 1 up with a ping of 200 milliseconds.
Now, the question is it Ericsson, and is it going to rust in 3 years?
That's debatable. Exactly my point. It is Ericsson.
Well, I mean, Nokia ain't much better.
No, it's not.
So, I mean, guys, at the end of the day, all of the vendors have their issues. But what I will say is, I want to go back. I want to be respectful to the doctor. I definitely don't want to cast any aspersions on his ability to be able to engineer a network. I'm sure he has the capabilities. I just question the resources that he's going to have to be able to implement all of this versus what his competitors are going to be doing. I just don't see it. This is a nothing burger to me.
He's got his work cut out for him. He does have his work cut out for him. Verizon is coming with all the smoke. All right, they're spending a ton of money, and they have a great plan. And I personally believe that AT&T is always going to be on the side of, let's just make sure our wireless network is good enough. It's never going to set the standard of excellence. I think that's going to be Verizon. But I do think that T-Mobile kind of getting out in front and getting a solid, 2 to 3 year jump on the 5G UC helps get them in a position where they're not really in a position of weakness per se, but they are going to have to properly scale network upgrades, densification, and dealing with congestion because they are dual purposing their network. They have a lot of growth. They've got a lot of high capacity data users. There's a lot of freaking home internet that's getting sold, and Verizon's dealing with that stuff too. Those two companies have the most pressure to get the most juice out of that squeeze.
Did they say when Neville's leaving?
Neville is leaving at the end of this year.
Oh, okay. Is anybody replacing?
Maybe August, actually. If I don't know why August.
Okay. So it's going to have be able to get a different budget by that time.
Yeah. I mean, I can almost guarantee.
But think about it, guys. They've got corporate things they want to do. They want to do a share buyback program.
Yep.
They're
share
trying to
buyback adds less value than investing in deployment.
Yeah, but
that's what they're
going to do. A lot of
do.
investors with their hands out right now, talking about show me the synergies.
Yeah, because they haven't been able to give anybody a return on investment because they make $2 every quarter in margins.
Hold on. This just reminded me. I have to say something. There was a video posted by someone and some commentary about free cash flow.
Oh shit!
I need to explain something to people so they understand how this works.
Get him!
I know where this is going.
Over the last 3 years, T-Mobile has had 2 years of negative free cash flow.
Facts.
People are predicting that T-Mobile is going to have $16 billion in free cash flow by 2025. That's less than 2 years away. In what realm of the universe is T-Mobile going to be able to do that if they are not going to raise prices, start making customers pay tax and fees, and also add additional fee prices? There is no way.
Buy Frontier.
What money?
Guys, can I finish? I don't care how many fixed wireless access subscribers they add. I don't care how much fiber they sell. Unless they do all 7 of those things that I just described, and it's still going to take probably 5 years for them to even sniff $16 billion. And that's if they pull all those levers. Now, there's 2 other companies who frequently in the last decade have posted $15+ billion in free cash flow every year. So the only way that T-Mobile is going to do $16 billion, they've got to pull 7 levers. They need 5+ years to do it. And they're going to have to start taking AT&T and Verizon's free cash flow. There is no other way. I can do math. I'm not going to sit here and pander to any particular audience. But the truth is, it is extremely unlikely for T-Mobile to go from negative free cash flow to $2 billion in 3 years. And then in the next 2 years, all of a sudden it's $16 billion. In what realm of the universe is that likely going to happen?
Especially when the economy is.
Who is saying about the $16 billion? What's the source on that?
I don't know who the source is. People are just saying it. I don't know the source. I have no clue. I can't figure it out.
Not Reddit, right?
Bro, Reddit is where souls go to die. It's the shadow realm,
like
bro.
The AT&T group on 4chan.
It's the freaking gulag, bro. Souls go to die and perish in Reddit.
Flawless victory.
Right.
Yeah, bro.
Was it 4chan's AT&T community?
I don't know what it is, but I can't get the math to work. Think about how many levers T-Mobile is going to have to pull, how many corporate changes they would have to make. You know how many stores they would have to close? Do you know how many employees they would have to lay off?
Yeah.
Do you guys know how many fixed wireless access subscribers they'd have to add? Do you know how many prices they would have to increase? You know how many paid lines would have to be converted from free lines? Like they would have to do everything Verizon and AT&T do.
Yeah.
Over the next 2 years.
People live in a dream world, Sneed. And everybody's just kind of drinking the Kool-Aid.
Still under $50.
Yeah, they're not making any money. That's what's so frustrating about talking about this stuff. They don't have the money to execute on all of these wild Thornberry ideas that everybody has. Like, come on, man. Like, they don't have it.
I'm not putting T-Mobile down. I'm being realistic. T-Mobile is the best thing to happen to consumers in a long time in an industry that was dominated by consumer unfriendliness. They did it. They disrupted. But I'm just looking at numbers. They're just numbers.
Sneed.
Okay, go ahead.
They spin off Sprint as a shell company, and they pack it with $36 billion in debt.
Oh God!
Oh God!
That's what AT&T did.
Well,
Fair-
this
that
is
is
all
true.
plat. This is on the
Yeah,
planet.
but Pete, am I off though,
Universities
Pete, in what I
now.
was doing with the numbers?
You're
Am I off?
correct. And Maya, add what I said, and you hit the 16.
Yeah.
I think the
No,
goal for
that
T-Mobile
checks.
by 2025 or 2026 should be a free cash flow of maybe 6 to 8 billion. I think that would be huge. Half of 16, I think, would be huge. A small miracle, in my opinion. That means the company would be firing under all cylinders.
Hey, Sneed, this was also the same grapevine that said that T-Mobile had all major cities covered with N41 1 month after the Sprint merger.
But here's the thing, that doesn't have
N41 is still being built in my city, bro. There's still a bunch of towers without N41 still.
But remember, Carlos,
Live in my
they-
market.
but remember, Carlos. I can't even finish.
Where's the budget? Where's the budget? Where is it?
If you don't have any money, it doesn't matter how good your engineering team is, man. It really doesn't matter.
Did T-Mobile reach all major cities within 41 1 month after the Sprint merger complete?
I ain't here to pander to any particular audience. I
No.
really don't care about the outcome. I'm not an investor. I don't own any thongs. I don't really care. All right. But all I'm saying is that I can't get the numbers to add up to make it work. It just doesn't. It's so highly unlikely. It's damn near impossible. Literally, Verizon and AT&T would have to shrink. They would have to shrink free cash flow for consecutive years. They would literally have to basically not even go flat. They would have to go negative in free cash flow, right? They would have to lose. They would have to lose year over year in order for this to happen. And that free cash flow would directly have to go to T-Mobile. And there's no indication of that happening in an economy that is weakening, a recession that is likely, and a maturing of the marketplace.
Wait,
Yep.
Sneed, you said recession that's likely. We're already in a recession.
Yeah, but you can't call it until it's like, what, 2 quarters in? You need like 2 quarters to confirm it. So I guess we'll find out in Q3.
Even if we are in a recession, I mean, to Sneed's point, things aren't necessarily getting better quicker than they're getting a little bit worse. So, I mean,
We've already seen fixed wireless access start to slow.
yeah,
Right?
I
The
mean, that
number
was
of
their biggest
ads-
growth driver.
Yeah, the number of ads in Q4 were like 50,000 less than Q3.
And their churn went up in fourth quarter. So right now, it's big cable in the MVNOs that are growing hand over fist. That's not helping T-Mobile. That's only helping Verizon. So I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to just, David versus Goliath type stuff. I don't see how this is going to happen. I really don't see it, guys. I don't see it. And I don't care who's their CTO. I really don't. It doesn't matter.
With the skunk apes, that's how it's going to happen.
I got a serious question. What do you mean looming recession? Sneed, you're Los, Zero Cool, we're all roughly the same age. Tell me at what point after 2008 was there a high point in this economy?
All the money that was floating around during the Trump administration.
Yeah,
I didn't get
that money. That money was
that.
freely. That money was freely flowing. Companies were. I mean, everything was just.
Yeah,
was easy.
I didn't get that money.
I didn't get it either, but the companies did. The corporations did.
I also had a hard time finding work during that time too. So,
well, corporations were flowing.
Hey, that just means their boardrooms are bulging their eyes with cocaine.
Sniff, sniff, Pete.
Sniff, sniff.
Yep. And then we're like, why is minimum wage the same? And why is it that my rent went up and I didn't get a raise?
No, I didn't get no raise.
I didn't get no raise. I've been getting a pay cut.
I got mine.
You got mine. Curve got his swerve.
I got about 4 of them in less than 8 months.
Recession for decades. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
All right, guys.
I concur.
We were only trying to do an hour. We're already an hour and 18 in. Let's go ahead and end the show. Let's do this again soon. Big shout out to all my panel members tonight. I had Brian, I had Austin, Zero Cool, I had Carlos, the Bearded Dragon, and Swerve Gotti. They were all in effect. Appreciate you guys. Hashtag Mod Squad. Hashtag 2Live Crew. Hashtag Save the Bear. Hashtag Help the Bear. Hashtag Ravioli Gang. Hashtag Replay Grang. What other hashtags we got?
Oh, and also I want to add to No Radio's comment. I got my raise.
Hashtag these nuts.
All right, thanks everyone. Nice job tonight.
Hashtag
we out
these
this
nuts.
piece.
Peace.
I'm John Saw.